Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a new project which is going to be a weather application. So in order to implement this weather application in Python, we're going to be looking at one new concept, which is an API. What is an API? An API is a method in which two different softwares communicate with each other. So if we want our Python software communicate with other softwares, for example on the web, we would be using an API. And in order to get information from that API, we need to request it. That means we need to get the information. And in order to get the information, we're going to use a Python library using the import statement that we've seen before. So we're going to be importing a library called requests. So the request library has a function called get, which is going to help us get different information from APIs. So let's just get into the code and we'll explain each line as we go through it. So the first thing you have to do is go to your terminal and you need to install the requests library since it's not default to your Python installation. So you're going to go to your terminal. If you're on Windows, you're going to type in pip install followed by requests, and if you're on Mac you're going to type in pip3 install requests and press enter, and it will download the request library for you. I already have it downloaded, so it won't be downloading on mine. After you've done that, you can clear your terminal, and now we're going to get started with the code. So let's just call it weather.py. Here we're going to import what we just downloaded. So we're going to import requests. So what is our plan here? So in order to build our weather application, we need to get the weather from somewhere. So we're going to be getting it from an API, a weather API to be specific, which we'll be looking at where to get it. And our program is going to asks the user to input a city, and using that city as an input, it's going to display the temperature and it's also going to display the weather in that given city. So let's just get started with what we know. So we know how to take user input. So we're going to put in, let's just call it user input. And we're going to set it equal to input, and we're going to prompt the user to enter a city. So this will get us the user's input. The next thing we need to do is we need to request that information, so the weather information. And to do that, we're going to be using a free API. So to get that API, we're going to open our browser and we're going to type in open weather API. Then we're going to click on the first link, which is weather API. We're going to click on it. Then it's going to take us to this page. So you're going to sign up. I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. All you need to sign up is an email and a password. So it's very simple. You just sign up. Once you've signed in, you'll be greeted by this page. Here all you need to do is go to the tab that says API keys. We're going to press on it and it's going to show you a key, your key, that is the one that starts with F. On my screen it could be different on your screen. It's going to be different on your screen. So whatever's under the key column, you're going to copy this and you're going to go back to your code and you're going to create a variable called API key, and you're going to set it equal to a string, and inside that string you're going to paste in the code you just copied. So this is our key that's going to let us access the information we want from the open weather API. So once you've done this, you can close out of your browser because that's the only thing we need. Next, we're going to type in a variable. We're going to create a variable called weather data, and we're going to be setting it equal to the get function that we were talking about, which is requests.get. And in here I'm going to paste a link which will be in the description as well, and after I paste it I'm going to explain what each part of the link means. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it. So here is the link. So the link is a formatted string. In this formatted string, what matters is what we have after the weather word. So here we have q equals. Here we're going to put in the city name. So in our case, we are taking that from the user. So here we're going to input the city's name, and the next parameter is units. So what you have here is the units. So you can either have it metric if you want your temperature in degrees Celsius, but if you want it in degree Fahrenheit, you'd have to change this to empirical. So that is for the units. Next, we have our APP ID, which is going to be our API's key that we copied from the website. So that is going to be inserted here. And once we have this link, all we have to do is look at what data we get. And this data is going to be an object. So in order to view it in our code, we have to convert it to something called a JSON. A JSON file is very similar to a data structure that we have seen before, which is a dictionary. So it's basically a dictionary. So let's just convert it and print it out to see what it looks like. So we're going to print weather data.json. That's how you convert it to JSON. So we're going to save our file and we're going to run it. It says enter city. I'm just going to enter Addis Ababa. Here you see the JSON representation of our data. It's using curly braces, that's why I said it looks like a dictionary. Again, it has key value pairs. So this chord is a key, then it has a value. Again, this weather is a key and it has a value. So basically it's the same as a dictionary. So in our program, what we want to display is the temperature and the actual weather. So in order to get that, the weather is going to be right here, which is rain. So in order to access that, we need to first access weather, and inside weather, we need to access the first element of the array, which is going to be this object here, this dictionary here. Then in that dictionary, we can get the main key, and using the main key, we can get the weather. So that's the first thing we want. The other thing that our program is going to be displaying next to the weather is going to be the temperature. And in order to access the temperature, we would have to go into main, then into temp, then we would get the temperature in degrees Celsius. So now let's just access all the elements that we want. So we're going to create a variable called weather, and we're going to set it equal to weather data.json. And in here, as we said, to access the weather, first we're going to go into weather, to the weather key. Then it's going to be an array, and we want the first element of the array, so we're going to have 0 because arrays are indexed from 0. Then inside the array, we want to access the key main, so we're going to use another square brackets and access main. So this is going to give us the weather. The other thing we want is the temperature, so we're going to create a variable called temp. We're going to set it equal to weather data.json. Then again, we said we wanted to first access main, so we're going to access main, and inside main we wanted to access the temp key, so we're going to have temp. So this is going to give us the weather and the temperature of the given city. Next, we're going to display it in a good format, so we're going to use a print statement, a formatted string. First, we're going to print out the city, which is going to be the user input. And on a new line, using the new line character, we're going to print weather, followed by the weather variable we just got. And again, on a new line, we're going to have temperature, followed by the temperature variable we just got, which is going to be temp. So this is going to print out the weather and the temperature. So we're going to save our file and we're going to run it from the terminal this time using Python 3 followed by weather.py. It asks us to enter a city. We're going to put in Addis Ababa. As you can see, it gives us the weather, which is rain, and it gives us the temperature, which is 16.49 degrees Celsius. So we can add a C here for clarity purposes. Another thing we need to do is error handle. We need to error handle because we're requesting something from another website or another link. So that link might not work. So in order to check that, we need an if statement. So if the weather data request works correctly, it's going to return a status code of 200. So we need to check if that status code is equal to 200. So we're going to have an if statement that's just going to check if weather data dot status code is equals to 200. So if it's equal to 200, we want to do everything that we said here. So we're going to indent it using the tab, and we're going to have an else statement. So if the status code is not 200, then we want to print out that we have faced an error. So we're going to say an error has occurred. So now we can save our file and see if it still works. So we're going to run Python 3 weather app again. So it asks us to enter a city. This time let's just enter London. As you can see, it prints out the weather and the temperature in London, which is cloud, and the temperature is 17.28 degrees Celsius. So this is it for a simple weather application in Python, and thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more programming videos.